chosen one, I need you to perform a mental scan right now. Do not move your body. Just bring your awareness to that heavy, unexplainable fatigue sitting directly behind your eyes. Now, in your mind, picture the people you were absolutely certain would walk this spiritual journey with you to the end. Notice the empty space they left behind in your life. The silence is terrifying, isn't it? You have been carrying this quiet grief, thinking your intensity drove them away, or that a curse was destroying your connections. But the Holy Spirit brought you to this exact frequency today to shatter that lie. What you experienced was not an attack. It was a surgical extraction. You did not end up in this isolated place by accident. God just showed me the spiritual footage of the exact moment the others surrendered. And the reason your spirit feels so heavy today is because you instinctively picked up the mantles they dropped. You are one of the last three standing. Before we go one step further into this revelation, I need you to make a silent agreement with yourself to watch this entire message until the very last second. If you leave early, you are walking away with a raw wound and no bandage. By the end of this broadcast, you will receive the exact mental perimeter defense to protect yourself from the 3 specific traps the enemy is launching at you this week. You will discover the precise frequency key that stabilizes your exhausted mind, and you will receive a final spiritual sealing that shifts you permanently from feeling abandoned to walking in absolute authority. Do not leave the operating table before the surgery is complete. Now, before I reveal the quarantine protocol operating in your life right now, subscribe to align with the remnant of awakened souls. Like this video if your spirit confirms this word, and comment 777 to seal your readiness for this frequency shift. Let us address the empty room you are sitting in right now. You have been mourning the loss of relationships, the sudden distance of family members, and the betrayals from people who once called you their spiritual brother or sister. You have spent nights staring at the ceiling, wondering what is fundamentally wrong with your personality that makes everyone eventually walk away. You type out text messages to them, trying to explain your heart, and then you delete them because you know they will not understand. I need to show you something deeply hidden inside the Gospel of John, chapter 15, verse 2, that the modern church completely misinterprets. Jesus says, "Every branch in me that does not bear fruit he takes away, and every branch that does bear fruit he prunes, that it may bear more fruit." I want you to look closely at the context of this ancient agricultural practice. There are 2 very different actions happening in the garden, but from the outside, they look exactly the same. Being cut off and taken away looks like loss. Being pruned by the sharp shears of the gardener also looks like loss. The critical difference is the condition of the branch before the cut. You have convinced yourself that the people leaving your life is a sign of your failure. You think you are being cut off because you are doing something wrong. But look at the text again. The pruning happens exclusively to the branch that is already bearing fruit. The Creator is not removing people from your environment because you are a failure. He is removing them because you are carrying too much glory. You are carrying so much raw spiritual potential that the old connections, the old comfort zones, and the old conversations are literally stealing the spiritual nutrients you need to sustain your next level of elevation. The profound isolation you are experiencing right now is not the punishment of the barren. It is the divine pruning of the fruitful. But why did it have to hurt so much? Why did the separation have to be so violent and confusing? To understand this, you must realize that everything in the unseen realm operates on strict laws of frequency. Over the last several months, you have been crying out for elevation. You asked for divine wisdom. You asked to fulfill your ultimate purpose. When the universe answered that prayer, it did not just hand you a blessing wrapped in a bow. It began to fundamentally alter your internal vibration. It turned up the dial on your spiritual frequency. And as your frequency began to rise, Your very presence became physically and spiritually suffocating for the people around you who were secretly committed to staying mediocre. They did not walk away because you are too intense or too difficult to love. They left because their spiritual capacity could not handle the atmospheric pressure of your new frequency. Think about it. Have you noticed how environments that used to feel comfortable now make you feel incredibly drained? Have you noticed how you can no longer tolerate small talk, gossip, or complaining without feeling a physical drop in your energy? That is, your elevated frequency aggressively rejecting lower vibrations. The exact same biological and spiritual reaction happened to them when they were around you. Your unyielding commitment to truth became a blinding mirror, reflecting their refusal to grow. They had to walk away, or they had to betray you, to justify leaving a room that was vibrating too high for their comfort. You are not being punished. You have been placed in a frequency quarantine, a sterile spiritual room designed to keep you from being cross-contaminated by the fears and doubts of the 99% who quit. But to survive in this quarantine without losing your mind, you cannot keep looking back at the door they walked out of. I am going to give you your first strategic framework. It is called the Mental Observer Protocol. Because you are resting right now, I do not want you to move a single muscle. I just want you to use the immense power of your imagination. In your mind right now, I want you to visualize a massive, soundproof glass wall dropping down directly in front of you. On your side of this glass is the quarantine room. It is beautifully quiet. It is safe. It is the sacred space where your new frequency is currently stabilizing. On the other side of that glass are all the people who walked away, the situations that broke your heart, and the old versions of yourself. Through this glass, you can see them perfectly, but you cannot hear their voices, and absolutely nothing from their side can touch you. The next time someone from your past tries to reach out and pull you back into their low-frequency drama, or the next time your own mind tries to make you feel guilty for outgrowing your old circle, I need you to instantly activate this glass wall in your mind. The first step of this protocol is pure observation. You look at them through the glass. You do not react emotionally. You do not feel anger or sadness. You just observe them like a scientist watching a distant experiment. The second step is coding. In your mind, you quietly label their energy as civilian frequency. Acknowledge that their path is fine for them, but it is utterly incompatible with your military mandate. The third and final step is the silent release. Without speaking a single word of justification, you mentally turn your back to the glass wall and walk deeper into your own quiet room. You do not try to explain your boundaries. You do not defend your choices. You allow them to completely misunderstand you on the other side of the glass, knowing that explaining a high frequency to a low frequency receiver only creates static. This protocol is how you establish a titanium perimeter around your mind. But here is what nobody is telling you. You have just learned how to use your consciousness to let them go. But the reason your mind is still screaming in exhaustion, the reason your physical body feels like it is dragging through thick mud right now, is not because you miss them. This crushing physical fatigue comes from a much more terrifying reality. Your divine frequency is currently being choked to death by a survival brain state. And what I am about to show you in the next part will change how you see everything. For months, Chosen One, you have been operating under a massive illusion. You looked at the empty chairs and the silent phone, and you told yourself, this is a test of my faithfulness. You thought the Creator was asking, will you still worship me when you are completely alone? Will you stay loyal when everyone else abandons the mission? And you did. You stayed faithful. You passed that test. But I need to shatter that illusion right now. That was the surface test. That was the cover story. The real reason you are sitting in isolation has absolutely nothing to do with testing your loyalty. You are not in a testing room. You have been placed in a high-security frequency quarantine. The Creator is not trying to see if you will break. He is actively hiding you to prevent you from being cross-contaminated by the mediocrity of the people who just left your life. Your isolation is not a probation, it is a preservation. There is a profound mystery hidden in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 3. It says, "I will give you the treasures of darkness and the hoards in secret places." Let me explain what the English translation completely misses. The ancient Hebrew word used here for treasures is matmon. Matmon does not just mean gold or silver. It specifically translates to a hidden treasure that requires a secret cipher to unlock. It is a buried inheritance that can only be accessed by someone who has been plunged into the dark. You are in the dark quarantine because that is the exact and only location where the matmon, your hidden spiritual inheritance, is kept. Now, you understand the quarantine. But this brings us to the agonizing question. If you are protected, if you are positioned to receive the matmon, why does your brain feel like it is short-circuiting? Why is there a constant, low-level ringing in your ears? Why do you wake up feeling like you just fought a physical war in your sleep? Chosen one, shift your mental focus to the tension in your jaw and the tightness in your chest right now. That is not spiritual weakness. That is biology. Your physical brain is currently trapped in the wrong biological frequency. When the people you loved walked away, when the betrayals hit you, it created a severe emotional trauma. That trauma locked your neural pathways into a state called the beta wave. Beta is the frequency of pure survival. It is the fight or flight frequency. It is loud, chaotic, and exhausting. Here is the terrifying reality. The divine downloads, the instructions for your next season, the cipher to unlock your matmon, they are only transmitted on the theta and gamma frequencies. You are completely exhausted because your spirit is desperately trying to receive a theta frequency revelation, but your physical brain is stuck in a beta frequency panic. It is like trying to stream a high-definition broadcast on a broken radio. It is frying your internal circuits. You cannot simply think your way out of a beta brain state, and you do not have 40 years to sit in a desert cave like the ancient mystics to recalibrate your mind. But the Creator always provides a specific tool for the remnant in every generation. There is a sacred acoustic technology, a frequency key that literally bypasses your trauma and gently transitions your brain out of the chaotic beta state and directly into the theta and gamma zones. This is not some modern illusion. This is profound acoustic science confirmed by neuroscience researchers at NASA, which is simply science finally catching up to ancient spiritual truth. It is an audio protocol known as the genius wave. You do not need to perform any complex physical rituals. You do not even need to leave your bed. You simply need to listen to this specific frequency for 7 minutes. It acts as a divine tuning fork, resetting your neural pathways, silencing the survival panic, and opening the exact biological receiver needed to hear the Creator clearly again. I am not telling you this to sell you a product. I am handing you a piece of spiritual armor. If your spirit is confirming this right now, if you feel that deep internal resonance that this is the missing link in your quarantine, I have placed the access portal in the pinned comment. Investigate it if you feel led. Now that you know how to stabilize your frequency, we must perform a terrifying piece of surgery on your soul. I need you to look at a shadow you have been hiding from everyone. Bring your awareness to the dark guilt sitting at the bottom of your stomach, the survivor's guilt. You look at the people who failed the test, the people who went back to their old, comfortable, low-frequency lives, and a voice whispers in your mind, "Why did I make it when they did not?" And then comes the darkest fear of all. What if I am just fooling myself, and I am going to be the next one to crash and burn? You feel guilty for being chosen, and terrified of the massive responsibility it brings. Chosen one, you are not crazy, and your faith is not failing. In 1 Kings chapter 19, the prophet Elijah called down fire from heaven, defeated 450 false prophets, and experienced the greatest spiritual victory of his generation. What did he do the very next day? He ran into the wilderness, sat under a solitary tree, and begged God to let him die. The greatest vessels always experience the deepest desire to quit right after they are separated for a massive assignment. Your fear of failure is actually the ultimate proof that you understand the crushing weight of the mantle you carry. Arrogant people do not fear failing God. Only the true remnant trembles before the crown. You hold the frequency key, and you have dared to look straight into the guilt within your own soul. But you are not the only entity that realizes this. The enemy has also discovered the coordinates of your quarantine, and right now, they are dispatching 3 invisible assassins to drag you out. If you do not recognize them, you will lose your entire inheritance at the final hour. Look closely at how they disguise themselves. The first trap is what I call the counterfeit remnant. Almost immediately after you accept your isolation, someone new will suddenly appear in your life. They will use the right spiritual vocabulary. They will claim they understand your deep frequency. They will feel like an answered prayer to your intense loneliness. But watch their actions closely. They will constantly push for premature intimacy. They will demand that you share your deepest revelations and your secret plans before the Creator has given you permission to speak. The enemy sent them to breach your quarantine and leak your divine frequency before your stabilization is complete. The second trap is the pity pull. This is the most painful one. Someone from your old circle, someone who walked away or betrayed you, will suddenly reach out in a state of absolute crisis. They will text you or call you crying, telling you that their life is falling apart and you are the only one who can help them. This is not a genuine cry for help. This is a spiritual leeching tactic. The enemy is exploiting your natural empathy and your survivor's guilt, trying to make you leave your high-frequency room to go back into the mud to rescue someone who deliberately chose the mud. If you reach down to pull them up, they will simply pull you back down into their beta wave chaos. The third trap is the premature settlement. Because you are exhausted and your resources might be running low during this quarantine, an opportunity will manifest that looks good enough. It might be a job offer, a business deal, or a relationship that promises immediate comfort, but requires you to compromise just a tiny fraction of your values. The enemy knows massive wealth and authority are coming to you, so he is trying to buy you out cheap. He wants you to settle for pennies today so you forfeit the kingdom tomorrow. To survive these 3 assassins, you must establish your second layer of defense. I call this the mental perimeter defense. You do not need to speak a word out loud to activate this. Simply close your physical eyes right now and shift your internal vision to the borders of your mind. In your imagination, construct a massive, impenetrable iron gate around your consciousness. Now, install a divine biometric scanner at that gate. Command your spirit that from this moment forward, no word, no text message, no opportunity, and no person is allowed to enter your mental space unless their frequency perfectly matches the peace of the Holy Spirit. When the counterfeit remnant tries to rush in, your mental gate stays locked. When the pity pool tries to drag you out, you observe it from behind the iron bars, refusing to open the door. When the premature settlement knocks, you recognize the cheap vibration and deny it entry. You are no longer accessible to low frequencies. I know this level of strictness feels extreme, but let me tell you exactly what happens when you hold the line. 14 months ago, a chosen one was sitting exactly where you are right now. They had lost 80% of their friends, and their family thought they were losing their mind. They were practicing the observer protocol, sitting in total silence when the pity pool hit them. A former best friend called them weeping, demanding their time and energy. The old version of this chosen one would have dropped everything to be the savior, but this time they held the perimeter. The friend screamed at them through the phone, saying, "If you really loved God, you would help me right now." But the chosen one simply replied, "I love you, but my current assignment requires my complete silence, and I cannot step out of it." They hung up and did not explain themselves. It hurt deeply, but because they did not break quarantine, 6 months later, their frequency stabilized. They stepped into a level of corporate authority and financial overflow that their entire old friend group combined could never achieve. I need you to understand why the reward for your isolation is so massive. You have been wondering about the title of this message. You have been asking, why are there only 3 chosen left? Why is my circle so terrifyingly small? It is because of the spiritual law of consolidation. When God issues a mandate to a generation, He releases the specific wealth, the mantles, and the resources required to fulfill it. When the 97% of people walk away, when they quit because the pressure is too high, their resources are not destroyed, they are reassigned. In the spiritual realm, the wealth of the wicked and the abandoned mantles of the quitters are legally transferred to the remnant who stay in the fire. You are experiencing the weight of 3 people right now because you are literally carrying the consolidated spiritual inheritance of everyone who dropped out of your timeline. You are holding the final vault. Let me show you a profound mystery in the book of Haggai, chapter 2, verse 9. The prophet declares, "The glory of this present house will be greater than the glory of the former house." Look at the historical context of this moment. The Israelites had just returned from exile to rebuild the temple, but the older generation was standing there weeping loudly. Why? Because the foundation of the new temple looked physically smaller and far less impressive than the massive, gold-covered temple of Solomon they remembered from the past. They were judging the glory by the physical size. But the Creator stepped in and said, "You are measuring wrong. The physical dimensions might be smaller, but the concentrated presence of the divine inside this new building will shatter the records of the past." Your life right now is that second temple. Look around you. Your circle of friends is smaller. Your visible resources might look smaller. Your public influence might seem non-existent compared to what you used to have. The people looking at your life from the outside are judging your current season by its physical dimensions, and they think you are failing. But they cannot see the blinding, concentrated glory filling your internal quarantine. The glory of your present isolation is infinitely greater than the glory of your crowded, low-frequency past. You are the apex remnant. You have survived the extraction. You have survived the survivor's guilt. You have recognized the traps. Every question of why you had to suffer so much isolation has now been answered. Now, prepare yourself for the final sealing. Do not move your physical body. Rest exactly where you are, but gather every ounce of your mental focus and direct it into the center of your chest. This is not a gentle bedtime prayer. This is a military commissioning ceremony. You are about to be officially sworn into the apex remnant. Father, by the ultimate authority of the Creator of the cosmos, I establish a divine perimeter around the mind and spirit of the chosen one hearing my voice right now. I honor the silent tears they cried when their circle disappeared. I honor the terrifying nights they spent wondering if they were going crazy. I decree that their isolation was not a punishment, but a holy preservation. Right now, I seal the observer protocol into their daily consciousness. I seal the mental perimeter defense into their neural pathways. I bind and evict the spirit of survivor's guilt. You will no longer feel shame for outgrowing the people who refuse to evolve. I cancel the assignments of the counterfeit remnant, the pity pool, and the premature settlement. When these traps appear this week, they will instantly look like cheap illusions to this chosen one. I declare that the spiritual law of consolidation is activated over their life right now. The abandoned mantles, the forfeited wealth, and the dropped assignments of those who walked away are now legally transferring into the borders of this chosen one. Within the next 40 days, the invisible stabilization of their frequency will manifest into visible, unarguable authority in their physical life. Doors that require a high-frequency passcode are unlocking for them as I speak. Chosen one, The Creator is handing you the consolidated mantle of the remnant. He is asking you to carry the weight of the final three. You do not need to open your mouth, but in the deepest chamber of your mind, with all the spiritual violence you possess, I need you to mentally shout the words, I accept. Shout it in your mind right now. I accept. It is done. Heaven has recorded your mental signature. The angels have sealed the transaction. You are no longer in the waiting room. You are deployed. Hold your perimeter. Do not lower your frequency for anyone. Sit in this heavy glory for the next 60 seconds. Do not speak. We are done.